Land and sea are inextricably one, forever united and interdependent. The early Hawaiians sought to mesh with the forces of nature, not fight them. He'd be a fool to upset the threads which bind him together with nature and the gods. In the Hawaiian culture, spirit and matter are one in themselves. But like the gods, matter is truly just as powerful, fully capable of thinking and willing. It is indeed alive, conscious, and receptive to human communication. The modern triathlete talks to it, exists with it, not against it. This big island is all-powerful, imposing, and treacherous. But the successful athlete will never challenge it, knowing the race with nature is never won. It is only carried on. Today, the world's greatest athletes perpetuate the everlasting bond. For the past 3 years, no one has been able to unlock the secrets of the Kona coast like Mark Allen. He'll run for a 4th straight title, but it's impossible to know if the unpredictable forces of the island will run with him. Even the greatest woman triathlete ever, Paula Newby-Fraser, can't predict what the powers have in store for her as she seeks a 5th title. The rules of the island were cast thousands of years ago, and the teachings of ancient Hawaii still tell us today that the chain shall never be broken. Welcome to the Gatorade Ironman Triathlon World Championship. Perhaps there is not a more fitting setting for this race to take place. On the Kona coast, where mind, body, and spirit fuse themselves together with the mystique of this big island. As the cradle of the triathlon, the Ironman stands alone, the original, the race that spawned the very sport. It is a race where legends are made. It is a place where legends return. By the end of the day, only one woman and one man will emerge as its latest champion. But by the end of the night, several hundred more will be victorious by merely crossing its finish line. In just a few moments, more than 1,400 people from around the world will begin what will be for them the biggest challenge of their lives. It's early morning on the Kona coast. The archway to the finish line has a peaceful glow to it in the pre-dawn darkness. By nightfall, it'll be a point of frenzied celebration. But the mood now on Kailua Pier is anything but jovial. How can it be when the moment of truth is just minutes away? It's a moment all these athletes have thought about 1,000 times, even for the athlete given the final race number. And even though 3-time defending champion Mark Allen is awarded #1 status, he knows it means nothing unless he can back it up once again. Last year he held off Australian Greg Welch, but now running in his 6th Ironman, Welch has unprecedented confidence. And this year, the happy-go-lucky Aussie has said he's here to beat Allen, not just challenge him. Meanwhile, 4-time women's champion Paula Newby-Fraser blocks out the pre-race tension with her favorite music. With only 100 professionals entered, the feeling for the more than 1,300 amateur athletes is really no different. They just try to remember how good the hug at the finish line will feel. Their stories will be told by day's end. Like Pat Rummerfield's, it's extraordinary. 18 years ago, he was left a quadriplegic after a near-fatal car accident. Doctors told him he would never walk again, but after years of therapy, it seems walking wasn't Pat's ultimate goal. Being an Ironman is. The finish line, it seems so very far away, almost unthinkable in these early morning moments. But the inspiration to draw from is almost limitless. Just talk to 29-year-old Jim McLaren, a 2-time Gatorade Ironman finisher who owns the world record for an amputee. Or talk to Kathy Hughes, wife and mother of 5. In her spare time, she runs an 80-acre farm while training for triathlons. Mark Allen spends the last remaining moments by himself in pre-race meditation. His bond with the islands has begun.
7 o'clock and start the race with you standing on the pier. There's plenty of room to move
It's too late to second-guess the training. The race is about to begin. The swim is only part of the 140-mile journey over the most severe conditions the island has to offer. It'll take place just off the coast of the biggest island in the chain, Hawaii. On the western tip, in the village of Kailua, Kona. The swim is nearly 2.5 miles, originating from the Kailua Pier and returning for the start of the bike race. The 112-mile stretch takes the athletes north along the Kona coast, through barren lava fields where there's nowhere to hide from the scorching blacktop. When they reach the small pastoral village of Hawi, they'll make the 180-degree turn. By then, the afternoon sun will be at its burning peak for the ride back to the town of Keauhou. And it's there where they'll push their bodies for the final test, the 26.2-mile marathon, back up the same searing coast before returning home again to Kailua, Kona, where the final throng of fans await them along a Ali'i Drive. The scene now is at the pier, and for more on the first leg swim, we go to our Olympic gold medalist, Mike O'Brien.
There are many challenges to this swim. First and foremost is the start. It's a mass start, one of only 2 left on the Ironman circuit. All 1,500 swimmers will pack themselves into a relatively small area and vie for the lead. But that's not the only challenge. The swimmers also must overcome swells of water and thrashing arms and legs as they make their way through this first leg of the Ironman Triathlon.
It's an eerie sight high above Kailua Pier, where over 1,400 athletes jam the starting point. Just exactly what are they walking into? The mind is clouded with a sense of uncertainty. Months of training, for some, years, all to be put to the test. Has it all been worth it? Was there enough? Seconds away from the start, some wonder if it's too late to turn back.
3, 2, 1. On the 1992 Gatorade Ironman Triathlon World Championship.
The silence has been broken. Just off the pier, the once calm bay waters have been turned into a churning mass of humanity. The water appears to boil with the flailing arms of the athletes. But just ahead of the chaos, the first lead has been taken.
Nathaniel Orandi, a high school swim coach from Illinois, finds himself in front of German Wolfgang Dietrich. Dietrich, a former world-class swimmer, was first out of the water in last year's race. Now he's surprised by Orandi, but he knows the time to strike and take the lead still lies ahead. The pack starts to thin out as swimmers fall into place according to their strength. As this happens, the compact thrashing of arms and legs is reduced as each swimmer searches for their own piece of open water. The lead pack transforms itself into a single line. Each swimmer follows in the slipstream of water coming off the swimmer in front of him, hoping to take advantage of this drafting effect. Greg Welch, the Australian Mighty Mite, assumes a comfortable spot in the lead pack. His stroke is deliberate and strong, but there is still more than 2 miles to go. As the leaders continue toward the halfway mark, a second pack follows in their wake, with defending champion Mark Allen wearing number 1 on his cap, fighting his way through it. Allen knows his strengths lie in the bike and run. For now, he must be content to swim behind the leaders and keep his focus on the clock. The halfway buoy is now in sight, but there is still more than 1.5 miles to go.
The Gatorade Ironman Triathlon is brought to you by Gatorade, it's all you're thirsting for. By Kellogg's, the best to you each morning. And by MasterCard. Master the moment with the card that's accepted at nearly 10 million places worldwide.
This is a rip-roaring combination. I mean, flakes with flakes. Ooh, pretty imaginative. I mean, you'd never sell me on something like this. I don't buy flakes. I date them sometimes, but I don't want to go into that. No, I thought I'd be bored silly by these, but they're simple and crunchy. Actually, I think you got something here.
Kellogg's Cornflakes.
Kellogg's Cornflakes? Wow.
Taste them again for the first time.
Weekend. No tie, no briefcase, just plastic.
It all boils down to this. No other card you can carry is accepted in more places and in more ways.
Food.
At home and abroad.
I got it.
Than MasterCard. It's the only card you need.
Rooms.
MasterCard.
Not a bad day's work.
Master the moment.
The 1992 Gatorade Ironman Triathlon is now available on home video for just $29.95. Operators are standing by now at 1-800-255-1027. It's the perfect gift for endurance athletes everywhere.
Until now, lighted watch dials were really hard to see in the dark. But the Indiglo nightlight from Timex is so dramatically brighter. Nighttime will never be the same.
Welcome back to the Gatorade Ironman Triathlon. The halfway point of the 2.4-mile swim is now in sight, and so is a familiar name. The pace of the swim has been set. Once again, cutting through the water in first place is Germany's Wolfgang Dietrich. It's not unexpected. He's been the perennial swim leader at the Ironman, but his leads haven't been big enough to carry him through. Less than 25 minutes since the start. And Dietrich knows he'll need to put at least twice as much distance between him and the rest of the pack before he reaches shore. Low, the race takes on an almost surreal perspective. Top, it's much different. It's a fight for the early edge. It can't be rushed. Out of the water with two quickest swim phases in the entire history. So far, so good for Paula Newby-Fraser. Her game plan looks perfect. She's challenging most of the men. But her swim is only half complete, and several women are just seconds behind her wake.
Greg Welch has now made the turn back towards Kona, but he finds himself losing precious time to the more proficient swimmer, Dietrich. Dietrich has overtaken Laurenti to take the lead and pushes on ever harder, knowing that this is his best opportunity to extend his lead. Now that Laurenti is behind Dietrich, He's begun to draft off of him, becoming a nuisance that Dietrich tries in vain to shake. Greg Welch is steady as she goes, chugging through the water with persistent determination. He breathes every stroke, getting the maximum amount of oxygen for his tiring body. Mark Allen, once a collegiate swimmer, now finds his swimming ability no match for the younger Welch and Dietrich, who are more than 2 minutes ahead. While the men's race continues to surge ahead, Paula Newby-Fraser is no question the favorite in the women's race. Fast as she is, though, Paula finds herself in second place behind All-American swimmer Wendy Ingram, who is swimming a strong race up with the faster male swimmers. Dietrich extends his lead over the favorites. His goal is to be out alone. It's a role he's used to as the solitary man.
I'm doing my race. I swim, I have to swim by myself in front. I swim by myself in front, doesn't matter. And I ride my bikes the way I want to do it. Even when somebody passes me, okay, then it's always better when you go with them because it's easier, especially for your mind, just hang in there. But I have no problem to ride by myself for 4.5 hours or a little bit longer.
As the leaders make their way into the swim-to-bike transition, their focus is shifting from the warm, cocoon-like Pacific to a more threatening and treacherous road ahead. With more on that, here's Craig Masbach.
As the swim nears the end, the triathletes are no doubt looking ahead to this barren, bleak, lunar landscape of asphalt and lava fields where they'll spend most of their long day. This course is deceptive. It's flat and mostly straight, but it's in those features where they find tremendous boredom as the heat sears off of the lava fields. Now, they call this the Queen K Highway, also known as Highway 19 here in Hawaii, but the triathletes know it by another name, the Highway to Hell. The roads shimmer with the heat of the blazing sun, a reflection of the fire that is the soul of this island, an island forged from red-orange waves of lava, liquid rock that moves with the inexorability of ocean tides. This is an island ruled by an irritable deity, the goddess Pele, whose dark humors are expressed as earthquakes and whose rage takes form as molten fire. Her legacy, rivers of lava frozen in time. Obsessed with time are the lead swimmers, Wolfgang Dietrich and Nathaniel Larandi. They know they must press their lead as the transition to the bike approaches.
Everyone knows Contact wrote the book on cold medicine. Then they added this chapter, Contact Day and Night.
On this page, yellow day caplets that knock out your cold symptoms without making you drowsy, so you can breathe easy and work all day long. On this page, blue night caplets that relieve your symptoms to let you rest. Both formulas control your cold symptoms with the right medicine at the right time.
Contact Day and Night, another important chapter in cold relief.
I'm so
The bright, invigorating scent of Coast. Discover how it wakes you up and jumpstarts your day.
Up and at 'em.
Coast, the eye-opener.
The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade or your money back. 2 flexible screens let you shave whiskers below skin level. It's quick, smooth, comfortable. A great value. The Remington microscreen.
Until now, lighted watch dials were really hard to see in the dark. But the Indiglo nightlight from Timex is so dramatically brighter. Nighttime will never be the same.
Finally, a chance to get away. Moments like this call for Gold MasterCard.
We could find a romantic hotel.
In Paris? It has the added credit you've earned.
We could sneak off to the beach.
Yeah, Maui. Plus, no card is accepted in more places at home and abroad.
Or we could take a trip we'll all remember.
MasterCard, the best gold card to master the moment.
Welcome back to the Gatorade Ironman Triathlon. A massive crowd has gathered along Kailua Pier to welcome the athletes from all over the world. They represent 48 states and 49 countries. But most of the crowd has no idea who the leader is, since the race so far has been well offshore. But it doesn't take much time at all for it to realize that Wolfgang Dietrich has company. It's Laurandi, and he's turned out to be an unwelcome pest. Less than a minute behind is Greg Welch. There's an extra sense of panic to Wolfgang's transition to the bike. The tone of his race is set by the swim, and he wonders if it was good enough. But with large groups of athletes pouring onto the shore, there's only time to look ahead. Dietrich is the first to experience the fierce pace of the transition, and it only multiplies when you know others are just seconds behind. And at this stage, stepping into your shoes is secondary. Pedaling is the priority. The name of the game in transition: keep moving, tend to details later. Back at the pier, things are getting busy. Greg Welch, still trailing by less than a minute, is also experiencing the strange feeling and jolt of discovering his land legs. All the while, trying to concentrate on not losing his way through the maze of paths of the transition. Still battling the water in a host of swimming, churning bodies is Mark Allen, nearly 3 minutes behind Dietrich. Welch is one of the best in the sport in transitions and completes it in less than 45 seconds. But Dietrich has no plans of giving up his lead on the bike. Before the race, he said he'd have no problem riding by himself for hours. But it doesn't look like he'll be afforded that much time. Welch is now pedaling. But where is the favorite, Mark Allen? Right now, he seems content on blending in with the others. But he's far enough behind to give himself a reason to force his way through the transition. He doesn't want to get needlessly bogged down and let the few bikers ahead add to their leads. It's early, but the European contingent is sending a message. Finland's Pauli Kiuri hustles to join the elite. His strength is the bike leg, and he'll be along for more than just the ride. There's a quiet confidence to Allen's transition, as if he's secure in his own mind that the race will be won dozens of miles down the road. He straps on an electronic heart monitor to prevent overexertion. The race has finally settled into a rhythm, and Welch wants to put as much distance as possible between him and his chief rival, Allen. The unsteady atmosphere of the transition has given way to the leaders now concentrating on the business at hand, the two-lane blacktop, which will now be their companion for the rest of the 112 miles. For Pauli Kiuri, it's time to fuel up by chomping down on an energy bar. But everyone wonders if they have the energy reservoir of the champion. The man to beat is Mark Allen, and his presence on the road is unmistakable. Also easy to recognize, even from a distance, is Allen's nemesis, Greg Welch. Man and machine, now partners. And for the leaders, that partnership will endure for about 4.5 hours. Greg Welch's contraption is just an example of how high-tech the two-wheeler has become. Craig Masbach takes a look.
I don't know about you, but when it comes to bicycles, I never had anything much more fancy than a Stingray or a 3-speed. But triathletes have brought a whole new technological spin to their sport. Special semi-disc wheels, or these aero bars, which give the triathletes a lower profile. That lets them cut through the wind. And the most radical thing of all, the revolutionary soft ride suspension system. In fact, triathletes have pushed the bike technology so far out there that there's a whole new language you better speak if you're going to follow this sport. For example, like, dude, that wheel-sucking coghead's really off the back with his bladed spokes and his granny gear on this totally nasty course. You know? But you know what? No matter how much bikes have changed, they still have two wheels, and you've got to pedal them.
While every athlete has invested a certain amount of faith in technology, early in the bike, they most of all need faith in themselves. Wolfgang Dietrich trains alone on the roads near Düsseldorf. Now he revels in the solitude of leadership as he heads out the Queen K Highway. Mark Allen has to maintain his composure, knowing that he has another 7 hours to make up the time and distance lost on the swim. Greg Welch and Pauli Kiuri have an early meeting on the road. No pleasantries are exchanged. For the women, Wendy Ingram's lead from the swim is already shrinking. Last year, she led Paula Newby-Fraser almost to the turnaround point of the bike in Hawi. This year, her training has been hampered by a broken foot. Newby-Fraser is in calm pursuit, though she bears the burden that comes with being the overwhelming favorite. A superstitious champion, she wears 8 earrings, one for each of the 8 consecutive Gatorade Ironmans in which she has competed. Meanwhile, the stories unfold behind as the masses continue to exit the water. Among them is a former 290-pound Yale University lineman, Jim McLaren.
Do you want me to do something with your leg?
Yeah, just store it. That's fine, ma'am. I'll be fine.
His transition has a unique character as he straps on a specially made prosthesis for the bike and run. Wolfgang Dietrich has no interest in what he calls the mystical stuff that motivates some of his rivals. He likes this race for the simple fact that it offers no place to hide. Pauli Kiuri sees himself as the heir to a great Finnish tradition of endurance sports. He's powered by sisu, a Finnish word meaning never give up. And Greg Welch, he's powered by what he calls Welch weaponry, a combination of his rocket bike and his improved training, nutrition, and mental attitude. Now he feels he's ready to become the dominant figure in the triathlon. But to do so, he has to beat the world's greatest endurance athlete, Mark Allen. Allen has lost more races in 1992 than in the previous several years combined. The 3-time Gatorade Ironman champ seems vulnerable.
My body deserves the best quality food I can give it. Life's busy, and you end up eating fast foods. But you've got a choice. Matola. I choose it because it's low in fat, high in carbohydrates, high in fiber. Exactly what my body wants. It's all natural, but the best part is, it also tastes great.
If you don't already enjoy Matola, call 1-800-MATOLA-1 now for free samples and a free video.
It's time you tried Matola. Come on, do it now.
Uh-huh. What are you doing out there?
Hiding.
Huh?
Mr. Jenkins says the package I sent him didn't get there. He's calling every 5 minutes to yell at me.
It's probably in his mailroom. Just call Federal Express. They'll tell you when it got there and who signed for it, so Jenkins can yell at him instead.
All I gotta do is call Federal Express? Great.
Only Federal Express can confirm delivery in seconds. Other companies can take days.
What are you doing back there?
I didn't use Federal Express.
Next time, use Federal Express.
It's not easy to pull yourself away from a bowl of Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Those 2 scoops of raisins taste so good, you'll find that once you start, you can't leave them behind. 'Cause those 2 scoops taste too good to pull yourself away. 2 scoops of raisins, not 1 but 2, means raisins through and through. So those 2 scoops taste too good to pull yourself away from Kellogg's Raisin Bran. 2 scoops!
A New Orleans tradition. High-scoring action. Plus the Battle of the Bands. Next Saturday, the legendary Eddie Robinson leads his Grambling State Tigers against the Jaguars of Southern University. The Bayou Classic, next Saturday on NBC.
576, 1 over, 576.
Back at the Gatorade Ironman, the leaders are well up the road, but most of the field is still just leaving or heading into the bike transition. Among them, 31-year-old Kathy Hughes of Marshall, Michigan. The mother of 5 has a little different agenda today. Right now, it's finding her bike for her first 112-mile Ironman ride. Childcare and the farm seem like a million miles away. Wolfgang Dietrich led the entire bike ride in last year's race. In fact, no one has logged more time in the lead over the past 5 years than the student athlete from Neuss. But making plenty of noise behind is Allen. Once 2.5 minutes behind, he has closed the gap. But it's taken 20 miles to gain 2 minutes. And to this point, it hasn't exactly been his day. His swim was not up to his standards, though he claimed to be in the best swimming shape of his career. But now he's joined the leaders. But how much precious energy has it taken to find them? The first to feel his presence is Welch. And for Allen, he feels reassured, since Welch should be his biggest competition in the run. For the first time, the 2 favorites are together. The duel everyone anticipated has begun. But Allen isn't content to just catch Welch. He has designs on reeling in Pauli Kiuri, who also feels the reality of Allen's sudden rush. And there's no stopping the charge. Up ahead, Allen has the leader Dietrich in his sights as well. He's been called an intimidator on the course, but Allen discounts the label. He says if you're out to intimidate, you'll quickly lose your focus. To him, self-doubt is a much more intimidating force. And the one who feels intimidated the most now is Welch. He seems startled during his first contact with a 3-time champion. He's showing clear signs of urgency. His rhythm has been broken in order to keep pace with Allen.
While Dietrich can't be sure of the exact details of the story unfolding behind him, the general outline of the plot is a familiar one. Alone in his struggles against the wind and heat, he knows that the others are benefiting from the back and forth of their joint pursuit. His position at the front is the destination. They're on the bus headed his way. The end comes quickly. Welch is out of his saddle and immediately puts his Aussie stamp on the race. Allen follows, covering the Welch move. In August, he, Welch, and Ironman pioneer Scott Tinley went on a 3-day ride through the Colorado Rockies. covering more than 100 grueling miles a day and testing each other's resolve. He knows all too well just how tough Welch has become. Kiuri is right behind. And then ahead, leaving Allen in his wake. The former speed skater from Valkeakoski, Finland, was third in this race 2 years ago. Before the race, he said that the bike portion of the Ironman hasn't been taken seriously enough in the past. Known as the Flying Finn, this year he's impatient to make it an honest ride. Kiuri is first, and now the back and forth is the battle to stay close to the front. There may be no advantage to being in the lead so early in an 8-hour race, but everyone seems to want to be there. Well on the road to the turnaround at Hawi, the pattern has been set. This will be a race with frequent lead changes, a race that tests not only physical endurance, but mental tenacity. And of all the competitors, one has been the most active in seeking the spiritual side of this race, the proper mixture of focus, balance, and discovery that it takes to succeed in this challenging sport.
The Big Island of Hawaii it's a very special place on this earth. Prior to 1989, when I went to Hawaii, I was always trying to imitate the energy and the strength of guys who had done well there. And finally in 1989, I realized, hey, I need to go there as Mark Allen with my strength, as who I am. About halfway through the run, it started to get difficult, and I started to feel like I was fading. And at that exact moment, out of the corner of my eye, I saw this image of this old, ancient Indian guy. And I felt like this guy was giving me some of his strength, some of his power. And I just got stronger and stronger and stronger from that point on in the race. And I ended up winning that year.
It took a mystical vision to awaken the true Ironman within Mark Allen. He had competed in this, the cruelest of all races, 6 times before, but the island had always beaten him. In 1984, severe dehydration reduced him to a shuffle. In 1987, he was hospitalized after the race with internal bleeding. The next year, 2 flat tires knocked him out of contention. Learning from his previous mistakes, he put together the perfect Gatorade Ironman in 1989, basing his training and racing on a combination of focus, balance, and discovery. The focus on preparing for the specific challenge of this race, the balance of the 3 disciplines of this exacting sport, and the discovery which comes from pushing your body to its limits and beyond. Since 1989, when the image of the Huichol Indian shaman came to him in the midst of the lava fields, the Gatorade Ironman has taken on a spiritual quality that transcends racing and carries over to his very existence.
The Huichol tradition has really shown me the responsibility I have to life and to appreciate the things that I have. And their tradition is also, it's just shown me that there's so much more that we can experience, and there's so much more ways that we can look at the simple things that we do each and every day and be thankful for that.
Allen's spiritual awakening has included yearly trips to the Sierra Madres of Mexico, home to the Huichol Indians. There he has taken part in tribal rituals, including the Vision Quest, 3 days and 3 nights camped on rocky soil without food and water, alone with his thoughts.
Going out and laying in the dirt, sitting there with some rocks and watching some birds go by, or sleeping out under the stars by yourself, wondering if something's going to eat you, realizing you're part of the food chain, that gives you a different perspective on things. And it doesn't have to be done in the way that I've done it. This is just the one way that seems to speak to me. There's a zillion different ways for people to experience life and nature and understand their own heart and their own motivations and what makes them work, what makes them tick.
Allen's study of life has helped him figure out the Gatorade Ironman. He's won it 3 years in a row.
There's no faking out there in the Ironman. It's reality. And so for me, I just try and think of the whole day as almost like one being, one thing, almost like a circle, and I'm in it. And so no matter where I am in that circle, I'm still in it. And eventually, the race does evolve. And the next thing you know, you're coming down a leaky drive. And the next thing you know, you're in the lead. And everybody's cheering, and you're going to win this race again. Wow.
Heading for the halfway point of the bike, Mark Allen now trails the leaders, Welch, Dietrich, and Kiuru. The frequent lead changes have added another dimension to this race by providing extra opportunities to test your opponents and doubt yourself. The town of Hawi is just ahead. Back at the swim-to-bike transition, 39-year-old Pat Rummerfield makes the difficult adjustment to his land legs. Those doctors who have already said the former quadriplegic would never walk again have already been proven wrong. Now he's out to show that he can pass the sternest of all endurance tests. Since breaking his neck in 4 places, life has been what Rummerfield calls a series of small victories. Completing this race, he says, would be the big victory.
He had an obsession about her. He had a greater obsession about her murder. But his greatest obsession was with the man
They killed his wife.
who thought he'd planned the perfect crime.
He pays the judges, he pays the cops.
You really think I killed her, don't you, sir?
I'm busting this wide open. Brian Dennehy, Treat Williams, inspired by the true story, Deadly Matrimony, NBC Sunday.
Hi, Phil Rizzuto here for the Money Store. What most families want these days is less debt, not more. So why pay 18% on your credit cards? With a home equity loan from the Money Store, you can lock in a low fixed rate, and your interest may be fully tax deductible. Today's rates are among the lowest we've ever offered. So go ahead, pay off those high interest bills with a low fixed rate home equity loan from the Money Store. Call 1-800-LOAN-YES, the Money Store, where America goes for money.
Where do you go for thrills, action and adventure, and the biggest hits on video? Take off for Blockbuster Video and take home this great movie.
Start it.
It's here!
3 times the danger. 3 times the terror. Alien 3 from Fox Video, rated R.
Blockbuster Video has more movies than anyone in the world.
Gardner White wants you to be an informed shopper. Ads from Sears, J.C. Penney's, Montgomery Ward's, and others may talk about great prices, but beware of the small print.
These stores, including Hudson, will charge you up to $50 to deliver your mattress.
Some of them won't pick up your old bedding, even if you pay them. Gardner White gives you the best prices on Serta and Simmons mattresses, and we guarantee free next-day delivery and will dispose of your old mattress free. Be a smart shopper. Get to Gardner White now.
The Thanksgiving Parade, only on Channel 4.
Oh, you can hear the kids are enjoying.
Ironman isn't only a race to crown the world champions, it's mecca for the super fit masses. People like Kathy Hughes, farmer, basketball coach, aerobics instructor, and mother of 5. She rolls on as the leaders battle ahead. The early cloud cover is starting to burn off, and the temperature is rising. Leader Pauli Kiuri takes a quick shower. He's a 7-time Finnish champion and has won Ironman distance races in New Zealand, Australia, and Germany. Kiuru, the veteran, knows the tricks of the triathlon trade and stores a little something for the road. Then an impatient and impetuous Greg Welch sprints by Mark Allen and heads after the leader. Though he's only 27, this is Welch's 6th Gatorade Ironman. The former builder from Sydney says he feeds off the energy of the other competitors. First, he gobbles up the Kiuru lead. Now he becomes the leader of a bizarre triathlon water ballet. When you spend an 8-hour day swimming, biking, and running, eating and drinking are a key to success. Welch has an early brunch and then stores a snack for later. Allen and the others give chase, slowing slightly as the turnaround in Hawi approaches. The bike leg takes more than 4.5 hours, and halfway through it, the race has fallen into a predictable pattern of changing leaders among an elite trio of Welch, Allen, and Kiuru. Welch takes on food and fuel and prepares for the long haul back to town. Allen, the Zen master, is guided by his own race plan and the beep of his heart monitor. He maintains a steady, patient rhythm. Dissatisfied with the pace of the race, Kiuru passes Allen and takes off after Welch. Once again relegated to second place, Welch is left to consider just what he has to do to remain in front. Meanwhile, the comfort of the ruling clique is broken by the arrival of a South American interloper, Christian Bustos. And while Kiuru continues to lead, Bustos, who owns a sheep farm outside of Santiago, Chile, makes an astounding move. Only 9th last year and known primarily as a good runner, he's improved dramatically on the bike. Now he startles his more famous and accomplished opponents by zipping by them. Allen lost to Bustos in Chile early in the year and must wonder if that is an omen of what is to come today. Welch now has someone new to worry about. Finally, even Kiuru senses that something is up and turns to look. Bustos, who not long ago had to sell his sheep just to buy a plane ticket to a race, is suddenly a serious threat. And Allen treats him like one. In a move that seems to signal desperation, he slingshots past Welch and then Bustos and heads off after the leader, Kiuru. The complexion of the race has changed with the arrival of Bustos, making the race's outcome even more uncertain.
Allen has more on his mind than just the tenacious Bustos. There's more trouble behind, and it's only too real. The chief rival and main threat remains Welch, the effervescent and literal opposite of Allen's focused demeanor. But if opposites do attract, the triathlon world is in for more collisions at the top. Welch represents the new breed of triathlete. His style may be a bit different than all the others, but maybe that's the way Greg lives his life.
Hey, go and have a beer with your mates every now and again. Go and hang down the beach and have a surf. Don't forget the things where you have fun. Because if you do and become too serious, I think you lose it.
In 1989, he astonished the triathlon world with a third-place finish. So right from the beginning, Welch has had unusual success in the most grueling race of all. A remarkable feat, considering it usually takes years to learn the intricacies of the race. And maybe the secret lies in his training techniques.
Don't try and go to the pub and drink 20 beers with your mates when you know you can't and get carried out on a stretcher. Been there, done that. I can only handle 10. Now that I'm an athlete, I can only handle about 6.
Welch spends half the year at his homeland of Australia, and the other half in what is considered the triathlete mecca of the world, Southern California. And competing and living among his peers, he thinks, has given him an extra edge.
I think that a lot of the people in this sport are too serious, and being happy-go-lucky and just sort of having a smile on the face all the time is pretty personable. It's good for sponsors, it's good for me, it's good for the sport.
How can this happy-go-lucky California lifestyle coincide with the rugged training of a triathlete? Sure, Welch puts in the miles, but does his carefree demeanor and flamboyant personality offset a serious training regimen?
You know, a lot of people have said to me, well, if you'd be focused and, you know, got a little bit more serious about it, you would go as far as saying to me that you'd be pretty much unbeatable. Nah, that'd be stupid, you know. And then I sat down and thought about it, and I thought, well, yeah, possible, but at the same time, you know, it's always good to sort of like have a streak of like about 4 or 5 wins or something like that, and then to get your butt kicked and get back into gear.
The only thing separating Welch from greatness is Mark Allen, who beat him last year. But despite the growing rivalry, there remains a deep respect.
I wouldn't have even budged about standing in line for his autograph. Serious. And I still idolise the guy, you know, Mark, that is. I still idolise him. I think he's unbelievable. He's a work of art. Like, you just have to look at him. He's a hard worker. He's focused, and, you know, I just think that he's got one disadvantage, you know, in the sport. And, you know, but that's fine. I mean, everything else is good about him. The disadvantage for him, unfortunately, is me.
Welch isn't all hype either. Right now, the freest spirit in the field has Allen and more than 1,000 triathletes chasing him. The Gatorade Ironman Triathlon will return in a moment.
Come morning, I need a cereal that wakes me up and gets me going. These are just flakes. Just looking at it makes me want to snooze. Hold on a minute. Simple, wholesome, tastes good. Heavens, yeah. This could put some giddy up in my get along. What do you call it?
Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes? You got me, didn't you? I hate that.
Taste them again for the first time.
This is the end of how you think about dandruff shampoo, of Head & Shoulders as you now know it. Now it's better. Because new Head & Shoulders gets to 10 times more of the places dandruff starts to help prevent flakes. Would you try this with your ordinary shampoo? I think not. No other shampoo has this formula. New Head & Shoulders. This could be the end of flakes. Period.
We tested in laboratories. We tested on the asphalt, in the parks, and on the road. We tested when it's 102 and there is no shade. And we found that nothing replaces fluids and minerals and quenches a thirst better than Gatorade. It's been proven again and again. But just to keep us on our toes, we tested over and over again in the highest court in the land.
Nabisco shredded wheat. It's just good stuff.
Just off the shores of the Big Island, the women's competition is more than 40 miles into the bike ride. That 27-year-old Wendy Ingram still has the lead. A triathlete for 6 years, she still hasn't been able to make enough money on the circuit to become a full-time pro. And on her heels now is the consummate pro. Paula Newby-Fraser has closed the gap dramatically, and the inevitable is about to happen. The four-time champion glides by with confident precision, as if Ingram doesn't even exist. No acknowledgement here. This is Newby-Fraser's race, and she's taken it back. There's no woman in the field whose resume even begins to approach Newby-Fraser's, and her race has come into clear focus. But up ahead, the men's is about to take yet another turn.
The leaders have established a comfortable rhythm when suddenly a new German arrives, anxious to leave his mark on the race. Jürgen Zach Zach, a 3-time German champion, won the grueling Zofingen Duathlon earlier this year, beating, among others, Mark Allen. Now he shows the pain of his come-from-behind effort. He's made up an amazing 5-minute deficit on the bike, and as he moves up alongside Allen, Zach looks at the 3-time Gatorade Ironman champion, probing for weakness, and to announce his arrival. Pauli Kiuri continues his leader's role, totally unaware of the developments behind him as he pushes the pace. Zach, a hulking figure on his bike, lifts weights in the off-season and has powered himself into contention in this race. Allen and Welch are content for the moment just to follow. Kiuri, with no one to look at up ahead, checks his pulse and adjusts his speed. But all of a sudden, he has company as Welch sweeps by into the lead. But how long will he hold it? The lead seems to mean little, as 6 men are now within 15 seconds. And in every Gatorade Ironman race, someone among the leaders suffers at the hands of the island gods. Here, it's Kiuri, suffering a broken wheel. He's left behind by the others. And as he sets off with a replacement wheel too small for his bike frame, Welch shows no mercy in the front. He's lost in thoughts of his own race. Kiuri is struggling, and those offering technical assistance only add to his worries. Because the wheel is too small, he has no functioning brakes on his rear tire. Pauli Kiuri falls further behind the leaders with every turn of the pedals.
Preparing for the Ironman is a painstaking journey which begins months before the actual competition, and many believe the race is won during the countless hours of preparation. The commitment to training is often the most vital ingredient, which makes you wonder if Kathy Hughes' day is made up of more than just 24 hours. Western Michigan is a far cry from the tropics of Hawaii. An 80-acre Black Angus ranch is where this 31-year-old mother of 5 calls home. She and her husband moved here 6 years ago from the suburbs of Chicago to live a life in the country. The cattle started as a hobby, but now running the ranch is a full-time family affair.
You have to keep prioritize. What's most important, okay? The kids are most important, then the farm, you know, and then my training.
It's unique that she can take her schedule and do so many different things throughout the day and stay everything in checks and balance. I mean, she's unique in that.
The day for Kathy starts before sunrise, getting the kids off to school.
How about Strange?
Strange. S-T-R-A-N-G.
Okay. Say it again, I wasn't listening.
S.
You can't have a donut.
Then it's the chores on the farm.
Everything I do on the farm, it's physical, so I apply it to endurance, you know. That's all put towards training. It's all endurance, it's all cardiovascular, it's all strength. So I just, you know, keep that attitude and enjoy what I'm doing, which, you know, working on the farm I love to do.
With 80 acres to work with, she has plenty of room to roam. She finds the hills and the farm a perfect place to train. But the hectic schedule never seems to stop.
I want you to stay off for just a little bit. Yeah. I want her to take the shot, and I want the offense to box out, okay? So you're going to take your shot, dribble in, take a shot, and I better see you guys boxing out, all right? Go ahead.
It's 3 o'clock, and she's coaching the 8th grade basketball team. coaching and babysitting her youngest girl at the same time. It's then off to football practice with her sons. And by late afternoon, she can usually squeeze in some more time for herself, training time for the biggest race of her life. And by the end of this day, Kathy Hughes will find out if she'll add the title Iron Lady to her list of credits. Meanwhile, the ultimate Iron Lady is leaving the rest of the women's field behind and seems intent on not just winning, but giving it her best effort ever. The men's battle at the top is much more of a crowd. Greg Welch continues to lead, but then feels a strong breeze pass him by in the form of Jürgen Zach, an accomplished cyclist who becomes the newest leader in a race resembling a game of musical chairs. But the contenders and pretenders will be quickly sifted out in the next and final phase. The marathon is next.
Until now, lighted watch dials were really hard to see in the dark. But the Indiglo nightlight from Timex is so dramatically brighter. Nighttime will never be the same.
No story tonight, honey. My throat.
Here, take a Sucrets. Only Sucrets has the long-lasting medicine diclonine to wrap your throat in soothing relief.
And the whole castle fell asleep.
Sucrets wraps your throat in soothing relief.
We tested in laboratories. We tested on the asphalt, in the parks, and on the road. We tested when it's 102 and there is no shade. And we found that nothing replaces fluids and minerals and quenches a thirst better than Gatorade. It's been proven again and again. But just to keep us on our toes, we tested over and over again in the highest court in the land.
This is the beginning of fully conditioned, great-looking hair. Head & Shoulders 2-in-1. You get complete conditioners with our proven dandruff shampoo all in one. For what could be the end of flakes and the beginning of something great. Head & Shoulders 2-in-1.
When life turns up the heat.
Can they start the wedding without me?
This shouldn't take long, honey.
Nothing protects you like Degree antiperspirant. It's body heat activated to release extra protection. Degree, your body heat turns it on.
Weekend. No tie, no briefcase, just plastic.
It all boils down to this. No other card you can carry is accepted in more places and in more ways.
Food.
At home and abroad.
I got it.
Than MasterCard. It's the only card you need.
Rooms.
MasterCard.
Not a bad day's work.
Master the moment.
The Oilers, the Dolphins, Dan Marino and the NFL's #1 passing offense battle Lorenzo White and company. Then the Broncos, the Raiders. The AFC West leaders face the Silver and Black in a must-win game for LA. An NBC football doubleheader Sunday.
Welcome back to the Big Island in the final few minutes of the 112-mile bike race. But it won't be long now before the leading cyclists find out how much is really left in their weary legs.
German golden boy Jürgen Zach shocked the endurance sports world when he won an important Swiss race earlier this year. Wolfgang Dietrich took up the triathlon when he failed to make the '84 German Olympic swim team. Australian Greg Welch finished second in the Gatorade Ironman last year and says he's ready to assume the mantle of the world's best. American Mark Allen has won the last 3 Gatorade Ironman races and is known as a big race performer. Christian Bustos of Chile trained with triathlon superstars in San Diego just before this race. Americans have never lost this race, but now Allen is the only American among the top 5. And even the course has taken on a decidedly foreign flavor, as fans have decorated the last hill before the bike-to-run transition in the European style. Zach bears down on the transition area. He's preparing to make the difficult change from the more than 4 hours on the bike to the 26.2-mile marathon run. Zach, the king of the bike, records the fastest bike split in Ironman history. Bustos, who also had an outstanding bike ride, leads those chasing. In the frenzy of the transition, Zach shows the effect of his record-setting bike leg. Quadricep and hamstring muscles tightened from the ride must now support his body for the first time all day. But Zach's slow change from biker to runner lets the others close the small gap he's established. Never in Gatorade Ironman history have all the leaders been in the bike-to-run transition at the same time. Zach is the first to escape the controlled fury of the bike-to-run change and head out on the run. But Bustos, who not long ago ran a 2:19 marathon, is close behind. Dietrich and Allen proved that you can drink, get dressed, and run at the same time. Welch is uncharacteristically slow in the transition. Jürgen Zach. Last year, he left his running legs on the bike course. He holds the lead. But close behind is Christian Bustos. In Chile, he's revered as el mejor de mejores, the best of the best. Now he can prove to the world that he is.
It's been well over 5 hours since Mark Allen and Greg Welch began the duel. And now they run shoulder to shoulder with 26 miles to go. It's a brand new race. Just ahead, the duel is much more short-lived. Jürgen Zach is doing his best to hold off Christian Bustos, but the Ironman lead is about to change hands again. In fact, Zach gives the Chilean a friendly pat on the back, as if to concede that his run at the top is over. Zach knows of the expertise which has passed him by. A few years ago, he won one of his first Ironman distance races in Brazil. Only the marathon in that race took place on a track. More than 100 trips around it proved his tenacity. But how different that is from the lonely lava fields which lie ahead. The challengers behind, including Allen and Welch, have seen it all before. But the question no one knows is if their body and mind are up to the test. If anyone in the field is looking for inner strength, they can look no further than Jim McLaren. The former Yale football player who lost his leg in a bus accident still hasn't lost his heart. And by the looks of his determined pace on the bike, he seems destined to finish his third Ironman. Paula Newby-Fraser is now on the run, and with her fastest ever time just turned in on the bike, she senses something special and unique in this, her 8th Gatorade Ironman competition. Christian Bustos senses something special too, but still unable to shake Jürgen Zach and a handful of the world's top triathletes, he focuses in within himself, where the toughest race of all is run.
It puts the wind in your sails.
The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade or your money back. 2 flexible screens let you shave whiskers below skin level. It's quick, smooth, comfortable. A great value. The Remington microscreen.
In my business, my hair has to look great. And even one flake is one too many. So I use new Head & Shoulders. It gets to 10 times more the places where dandruff starts. New Head & Shoulders, because great hair can't have flakes.
Here they come, sport fans. 2 slamming and jamming, rocking and rolling. Incredible new sports music videos. NFL rocks and NBA superstars, too. They're both free with your paid subscription to Sports Illustrated. The best way to get inside the action for over 20 million readers. Call this toll-free number now and get the best of both worlds. To the beat of some of rock's top artists. You'll get superstars and super sounds, one right after another. And get 54 issues of Sports Illustrated for only $1.39 an issue. Save over 52% off the cover price. SI and the 2 free videos make great gifts. For quicker delivery, use your credit card. Get your 2 free videos and enjoy the excitement of sports every week in Sports Illustrated.
Next week, bottled water. Are you getting what you pay for? And is it safe?
FDA has been inexcusably negligent.
Find out on NBC Nightly News.
Taboos are an integral part of ancient Hawaiian religion. They invaded the lives of commoners who treaded on the ground where great chieftains had walked. Taboos even governed the seasons of fishing. And to break any of the taboos was to offend the gods. And the punishment for the perpetrator was death. But on the South Kona coast lies the place of refuge. If those who had broken the taboos could outrun their pursuers by running across the jagged lava to the south, they would escape death. And once purified by the kahunas or priests of the temple, the refugee could return to a normal way of life. The athletes in the lonely highway can only dream about a place of refuge. With 24 miles to run, there's nowhere to hide. Mark Allen has pulled away from the fading Welch and Dietrich. Just a half minute now behind Bustos and Zach, Allen seems to be gathering his strength. His rhythm is unmistakable. But the run is still winding its way out of the lower coastal road. It's the area the athletes refer to as the pit, the descent and the climb before the runners emerge onto the highway. And if anyone seems ready to take it on, it's Allen, although it's difficult to gauge his expressionless face. As Welch and Dietrich begin their climb out, it's clear they can't keep pace with Allen, who's anxious to catch the leaders. And Welch and Dietrich are feeling the rigors, especially Dietrich, whose legs continue to defy him. His great swimmer, strong cyclist, weak runner tag is catching up to him once again. Welch perseveres, but his senses tell him there's trouble ahead. The legs of Christian Bustos forge ahead. The early afternoon sun has just begun to wield its fiercest heat. Allen has reeled in Zach. It'll be an effortless pass. He's in second place. There's plenty of road ahead to deal with Bustos. Welch has lost more ground. There's a certain uneasiness to his stride. 2 weeks before the race, he underwent hemorrhoid surgery. He hoped such a minor procedure wouldn't cause him problems during the race. But his biggest fears are coming true. He's withering because of it.
Christian Bustos used to stare longingly out his classroom window, watching the track team practice. As a high school junior, he went out for the team, winning his first race wearing a pair of tennis shoes with holes in them. Now he leads the Gatorade Ironman. Mark Allen hails from the royal family of this sport and owns 3 Ironman titles. Those mean little as he runs in pursuit of a man who outran him earlier this year, while the man expected to challenge him falters. Passing the church where he prays for strength before every Ironman, Allen has a majestic stride. Only a few miles into the run, Allen has caught up to the speedy Bustos. With more than 20 miles still to run, the battle is joined. Triathletes are like painters. Each race starts a blank canvas. What they learn about themselves during the day colors the painting. Allen is a cerebral man in this most physical of sports. He's been near the lead of this race for many years. Bustos, up until now, had scratched out a living via his herd of sheep. But now he's not following anyone. 2 of the best runners in triathlon history run stride for stride.
Paula Newby-Fraser is running her own race, but you might expect that by now from the woman who has become much more than just the greatest female triathlete in the world. Newby-Fraser has turned titles into a business, an enterprise fueled by her winning formula on and off the circuit.
The scariest part of triathlon now is that it has evolved from something which was just a fun weekend type hobby and into something which is now a full-time job. It's my career.
That career for Paula means marketing and promotion of herself as the Iron Woman. Like her training, her lucrative businesses need attending to, with numerous endorsements for everything from vitamins to food to even clothes. Paula takes an active part in all of her dealings with sponsors and realizes her performances in races will dictate the future in the business world.
In sport today, you really are only as good as your last few performances. There's no other way to look at it. But, you know, I have decided to make this my job and career for the moment. And so with that, you have to be willing to accept the rules that are out there, and those are the rules of the game. You know, your sponsors and everybody will be there for you if your performances are there. And if they're not, the hard reality of it is that they're not going to be there, and I'll have to go and make another living.
Well, so far, Paula hasn't had much to worry about. She's won this race 4 times in the past 6 years. But fitness was not always a part of her lifestyle. 9 years ago, she was a self-proclaimed couch potato and started to jog to lose a few pounds. She competed in her first Ironman in 1985 and finished 3rd. And since then, her undisputed role as the top Iron Woman has inspired others.
Have heard so many people go, you know, it's such an inspiration to see what you've done. Now I know that I can do it. My focus, honestly, is to get women into sport, it's not even competitive sport, but into the lifestyle. I mean, I really feel like that's my primary focus. You know, to me, not everybody wants to swim, bike, and run. There are a lot of people who don't like swimming, have never learned swimming, but it's just to promote the involvement. And I feel like I have been very active in getting people involved in sports.
Newby-Fraser Incorporated is steamrolling the competition. And while Paula has no doubt inspired many women to compete, she will not be challenged by any of them today. Her nearest competitor, Sean Williams, is 11 minutes behind and no threat to take back any time. Up ahead, the race is much closer. Allen and Bustos continue the run, stride for stride. How much longer can they keep this up? We'll find out when we return.
Wednesday, an unsolved television event live. Get ready for the holiday season with 2 WDIV Thanksgiving Eve specials. At 7, it's the parade rollout, a sneak peek of the floats and festivities plus viewing tips for the Michigan Thanksgiving Parade. Then at 8, it's the Disney classic Mary Poppins, the heartwarming story of a nanny with magical powers. Don't miss the fun, Wednesday night only on 4.
Every day, people like you are seriously injured in slip and fall accidents, and unfortunately, many victims settle for less than they deserve. Serious slip and falls, broken hips, broken arms, back injuries require expert medical and legal attention. Because we have the experts, our clients win.
If you've been hurt in a slip and fall accident, call the law offices of Larry Korn & Associates for a free case evaluation. There's no fee unless they win.
Let our team of experts fight for you.
It's the Monocotti Chrysler Plymouth Red Tag Sale. We're cleaning house with Red Tag new and used cars. And every car in the dealership is specially priced. Now, for a limited time, you'll find the giant 10-acre site loaded with new models. And there are plenty of high-quality used cars to choose from. So make Monicotti's your Red Tag dealer. Monocotti Chrysler Plymouth, Macomb County's 50-year dealer. 18 Mile and Van Dyke, Sterling Heights.
Buy a 1993 Arctic Cat before November 30th and receive up to $100 in cat cash at LeBaron Sports on DeQuinder and Troy. Macomb Arctic Cat on Gratiot and Mount Clemens, and Ray's Yamaha Suzuki Kawasaki on South Telegraph in Monroe.
"7 hours into the race. 7 searing hours beneath the blazing sun, on roads more suited for animals. It's a most unlikely duo. The undisputed superstar of triathlon, fighting for his title against a shepherd in a battle that no one, especially Mark Allen, would have expected. Behind by a mile now, the man who was supposed to be alongside Mark Allen can seemingly go no more. The effects of the surgery and the demands of the race have all but stopped Greg Welch, who must now bear the thought that he is being passed by others left behind long ago. And what must Allen be thinking now? He too expected the Australian to be his running mate this far into the race, but instead wonders how he can shake Bustos, who has relentlessly maintained his pace. Welch wanted this to be the day that all doubters were silenced. No longer content to be just the newest star, he had to win this Ironman to achieve the success and the respect of his peers. That goal will remain elusive another year, at least. Up front, Allen shows the first signs of surging, having long ago forgotten the man who came to beat him. Welch is simply trying to hang on, not only to what is left of the race, but of his pride as well. Allen continues to press on. Like a prize fighter boasting of a knockout round, he claimed before the race that he would make his move between the 7 and 8 hour mark. He is looking to make good on that prediction. Welch, having abandoned all hope of fighting for the lead, musters the courage to simply walk on. What now of the free spirit who approached every challenge with a smile? What now of the man who was supposed to finally beat Mark Allen? Now, Allen shows why he is known as the Grip. All who dare to challenge him fall into his grip of death. And Bustos is only his latest victim. Welch just hopes to make any contact at all as he confronts the loneliness of the open road. And when those who witnessed this Ironman recall this day, they will speak of the clash of cultures which went head-to-head, and how Mark Allen once again seemed to get stronger as the race wore on. Greg Welch will have to hear about it, like the others who were too distant to witness it for themselves.
No one hope of winning a race allows a gap like this to open up. Christian Bustos is failing to respond to Mark Allen's move. In January, Mark Allen was hit by a truck while on his bike and suffered a broken collarbone. Then he lost 4 races. Now his bold move with less than half the marathon to go may win him the biggest title of the year. Bustos used to idolize Mark Allen. Now he's barely clinging to a slim hope of beating him. With the turn completed, the athletes can, psychologically at least, think of themselves as headed toward home, the finish line at Kailua Pier. But first, a detour. A sadistic 3-mile out-and-back visit to a place most improbably known as the Energy Lab. But at age 34, Allen says experience helps him deal with the ups and downs of an 8-hour race day. Right now, he's up. And Bustos seems to have lost his rhythm and seems to be suffering from the heat. Allen runs with an added spring in his step. He calls the true test of an athlete not a single victory, but a series of big race wins. Earlier this year, Allen won his 9th straight Nice Triathlon. Now he's headed toward a record 4th straight Gatorade Ironman victory. Bustos thinks about next year while Allen plans his victory speech. With the win all but assured, only Allen's own course record stands unvanquished.
Until now, lighted watch dials were really hard to see in the dark. But the Indiglo nightlight from Timex is so dramatically brighter. Nighttime will never be the same.
You stayed up late watching Rage of the Zombie. Now you feel like one.
Vince, you awake? Better revive with Vivarin.
Vivarin's safe as coffee and really helps keep you going.
I got it.
Revive with Vivarin.
A kiss? No, I'm sorry. I don't think so.
Oh, no, please, no, baby, no.
Oh, not a good idea. Not now.
No, bedtime.
Fight morning breath with Scope. Scope has 2 powerful ingredients that kill 90% of the bacteria that cause morning breath.
Your kiss is ready. Pucker up.
Right on the kisser.
Come on. Kiss morning breath goodbye with Scope.
Give me that kiss.
Nabisco shredded wheat. It's just good stuff.
NFL quarterbacks. They get blitzed and drilled all season. This year's been tougher than most. Why are so many going down? OJ asks why. Sunday.
Running like the wind, Mark Allen tackles the final miles of this Ironman with an ease that almost defies logic. Approaching the final turnaround toward the home stretch in Kona, he senses not only victory, but a chance to break his own course record. He's been running sub-6-minute miles for the entire race. And as he heads toward home, he crosses paths with Bustos, who only 10 minutes ago was shoulder to shoulder with him. And now he's fallen over a minute and a half behind. Bustos beat Allen in a triathlon earlier this year, but now must be wondering how that was ever possible as he falls further and further behind. As Allen continues on, he sees Pauli Kiuri, who has recovered from his disastrous flat, to take over third place. Bustos presses on as he makes the final turnaround. Allen urgently presses toward a record. In a matter of 3 miles, a dead heat has been transformed into a lead of great proportions, as Bustos is literally left stranded along the barren highway, no longer hoping for the lead.
Welch, reduced to a walk again, can barely acknowledge the passing of Allen, who has beaten him again. With just over 7 miles to go, Allen now pays closer attention to his running pace. Allen, the man who spent 3 solitary days and nights in the wilderness to prepare for this race, is alone again. Welch's medical condition has caused concern among race doctors. He has an important decision to make. Should he quit the race or push on?
Yeah, I heard you were spitting up some blood. Are you okay?
Yeah, but I had a hemorrhoid. I had surgery 2 weeks ago, so I'm not feeling too good, but I'm going to keep going. If I feel like pulling out, I will.
Okay.
I'm feeling all right going.
Okay, we're going to keep a real tight eye on you over the next couple of weeks, or the next couple of minutes, and we'll be right behind you with the van. Okay?
No worries.
All right, hang in there.
Okay.
The doctor attending to Greg Welch out on the course is one of 200 members of the Gatorade Ironman medical staff. Most are located here at the medical tent near the finish line. Virtually all the competitors you see here are being treated for dehydration. Over the course of the day, some Ironman competitors will lose more than 5 gallons of fluid. Failure to properly hydrate results in exhaustion. These IV solutions are being prepared for competitors who visit the medical tent after the race. Of those who will take an IV, most do so to speed recovery from the effort of the race rather than medical necessity. However, the vast majority of the athletes are spared a visit to the medical tent by making use of the aid stations along the course. There, they find fluids, including over 13,000 gallons of Gatorade, a fluid replacement drink scientifically designed to replace the precious fluids lost on the course. Volunteers from local businesses and civic organizations get the Gatorade into the hands of the competitors. Inexperienced athletes rarely do well in the Ironman. Veterans like Mark Allen and Paula Newby-Fraser approach the race with specific plans for drinking fluids before, during, and after the race. And for Paula Newby-Fraser, victory may be assured. She takes on fuel so that she too can try to break her own course record.
The finish line awaits when we return after these messages.
Finally, a chance to get away. Moments like this call for Gold MasterCard.
We could find a romantic hotel.
In Paris? It has the added credit you've earned.
We could sneak off to the beach.
Yeah, Maui. Plus, no card is accepted in more places at home and abroad.
Or we could take a trip we'll all remember.
Gold MasterCard, the best gold card to master the moment.
Clubs you can't belong to. Neighborhoods you can't live in. Schools you can't get into. But the roads are always open.
My body deserves the best quality food I can give it. Life's busy, and you end up eating fast foods. But you got a choice. Matola. I choose it because it's low in fat, high in carbohydrates, high in fiber. Exactly what my body wants. It's all natural, but the best part is, it also tastes great.
If you don't already enjoy Matola, call 1-800-MATOLA-1 now for free samples and a free video.
It's time you tried Matola. Come on, do it now.
The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade or your money back. 2 flexible screens let you shave whiskers below skin level. It's quick, smooth, comfortable. A great value. The Remington microscreen.
When your sinuses are closing in on you, what you need is a sinus spray like Sinex. Only Sinex adds Vicks Vapors to its decongestant, so at last you can feel your sinuses open up. For sinus, think Sinex.
Next Saturday, the legendary Eddie Robinson leads his Grambling State Tigers against the Jaguars of Southern University. The Bayou Classic, next Saturday on NBC.
Mark Allen focused on the goal of mastering the Ironman, balanced the 3 disciplines of the triathlon in 8-hour training days, and discovered the path to Ironman success in 1989. He's racing toward a record 4th straight victory. Chile's Christian Bustos took up the triathlon in 1984 after watching the Ironman on TV. He began the day a virtual unknown, but has emerged from obscurity. Paula Newby-Fraser wants to inspire women to find fulfillment through sports. Today, she's beaten all but a handful of men in the race. Jim McLaren was pronounced dead, languished in a coma for 6 days, and lost a leg. He's on his way to completing his 3rd Ironman. Kathy Hughes tends a farm, takes care of 5 kids, teaches aerobics, and coaches basketball. She may be the ultimate cross-trainer. Pat Rummerfield competes to reassert his triumph over paralysis and to encourage others to believe in miracles. And it will take more than one rough day to dampen the spirits of Greg Welch. He'll be back to Kona.
Allen has raced brilliantly throughout the day. Staving off numerous challenges in all phases of the race, he now emerges as the true champion of this event. After 3 years of winning, most wondered when the charm would wear off. Certainly he would eventually have to be beaten. But for the man who gained so much spiritual strength from this mystical island, he is about to accomplish something not even the great Dave Scott could do: win 4 straight Ironman titles. The final mile through the streets of Kona are as familiar to Allen as any street in the world. And the cheers of those who await him are as recognizable as any single voice. Paula Newby-Fraser knows those cheers as well, and soon she too will be among them. Rounding the final turn, Allen embarks on a Leahy drive. To the sport of triathlon, this is almost sacred ground. This is the final stretch of road, a time to bask in glory. This is the dream for all who start the race. This is home. His record is 8 hours, 9 minutes, 15 seconds. The record is seconds within reach. Mark Allen is within yards of the tape. And as he crosses the threshold, Mark Allen has done it. The time, 8 hours, 9 minutes, 8 seconds. Yet another chapter added to his storied Ironman career. Embraced by his wife, Julie Moss, who inspired him to run this race 10 years ago. Bustos carries the flag of his nation. He'll return to Chile as a true hero. He'll return to the Ironman no longer as an unknown. Craig Masbach is at the finish line with the champion.
Mark Allen, focus, balance, discovery, a record 4th straight Ironman victory.
Thanks. I didn't think I could do it today. I came out of the water a little bit behind Welsh, and I thought, uh-oh, that's the race. And Bustos was really pushing it on the run. Much harder than I thought he could. And I thought, well, I guess second or third or fourth won't be too bad. But he started to slow down out there, and the record, unbelievable.
Well, that's right. The record, your own record that you set in 1989 when you won your first Ironman victory, that was on a tougher course. Did you think you could set another record?
No, I thought it would be really hard. But I guess somehow I pulled it out.
Bustos' celebrated finish continues. And the man he pushed for so long and so hard awaits him at the finish line. Mark Allen and Christian Bustos meet again. This time, Allen has an appreciative hug for such a hard-fought race. Back on the course, there seems to be a fresh spring to Greg Welch's legs. The scarf around his neck is actually an innovative cooling product known as the Cool Sport. It contains a frozen strip of ice that is designed to lower the athlete's core body temperature. Paula Newby-Fraser is just moments away from Ali'i Drive, and we'll see her celebrated finish when we return to the Gatorade Ironman Triathlon.
This is the NBC Sports Prudential Update. Now, Hannah Storm.
Welcome back to New York. Tomorrow on NBC, we have an NFL doubleheader for you as Week 12 arrives with a focus on the NFL's battered quarterbacks. On NFL Live at 12:30 Eastern, O.J. Simpson looks at why there have been so many quarterback injuries this season.
It's a physical game. It's part of playing football. I'm not complaining about it. I can only tell you that this game is every year gets the players get bigger, they get faster, and obviously the onus is set right on the quarterback. So I don't think rules have had anything to do with it.
Following NFL Live, it's doubleheader action. In the early game, most of you will see the Oilers at the Dolphins. And then later on, it's an AFC West clash between the Broncos and the Raiders, or AFC East rivals, the Jets and the Patriots, from Foxborough. Check your local listings. But now let's turn to college football and a Big East showdown at the Carrier Dome, where #1 Miami is visiting upset-minded Syracuse. But is Syracuse not upset, not on the minds of the Hurricanes right now? Listen to these stats in the first half. Marvin Graves sacked 7 times with a Miami defense. Total offense, Miami had 239 yards. Syracuse -1 yard. Total offense in the first half. The Canes lead 16-0. Also, Heisman co-favorite Marshall Faulk, a co-favorite along with Miami's Gino Torretta. Marshall Faulk was forced to leave today's San Diego State game against Fresno State with a hyperextended right knee. Faulk had just 21 yards on 2 carries when he was injured on a 2-yard scoring run. Next week, the Aztecs host Miami, and Faulk's status for that game is yet to be determined. Right now, the Aztecs lead 34-24 in the third. Elsewhere in college football, the only other unbeaten, untied team in the nation, the Aggies of Texas A&M leading TCU 13 14-7. With a victory, the Aggies will clinch their second straight title in the Southwest Conference. At Martin Stadium, an upset in the making. The Washington State Cougars leading Washington 21-7. Now keep in mind, Washington State could finish 8-3 with a win. They are not headed to a bowl at this point, but certainly they would merit consideration if they come through with the upset. At Ohio Stadium, a tie for John Cooper, who is rumored to have his job in jeopardy. If he lost to Michigan, this tie may have salvaged his job. And finally, at Vanderbilt Stadium, the Florida Gators win the SEC title with a 20-point win over Vanderbilt. They will face Alabama in the title game after winning the SEC East on December 5th at Legion Field. That's it from our Update studios in New York. Coming after this, we travel back to Hawaii for the conclusion of the Ironman Triathlon.
Can't someone pick up my phone? Carrie here.
You're dead, Carrie. That package you promised never got here.
This isn't Mr. Carey. This is his secretary. Please hold.
Federal Express, I need to check on a package fast.
Keep holding, please. I hear Mr. Carey down the hall. Your package
Only Federal Express can confirm delivery in seconds. Other companies can take days.
That package was delivered at 9:07, signed for by Mr. Henson.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Federal Express, our most important package is yours.
Personnel, please. 7th floor.
Now, when life turns up the heat, there's Degree antiperspirant. Because it's body heat activated, Degree turns on extra protection when you really need it. Degree, your body heat turns it on.
The 1992 Gatorade Ironman Triathlon is now available on home video for just $29.95. Operators are standing by now at 1-800-255-1027. It's the perfect gift for endurance athletes everywhere.
Here I am, a pillar of the community. And I love Kellogg's Frosted Flakes.
Brave adults challenge the notion that Frosted Flakes is just a kid's cereal.
In business meetings, I look around and wonder, am I the only one?
Those sweet, crunchy flakes and a splash of cold milk. What could an adult like better for breakfast?
I'm crazy about the taste. Hey, I got nothing to hide.
It's easy to see. Frosted Flakes have the taste adults have grown to love. They're great.
The Dolphins. Dan Marino on the NFL's #1 passing offense battle Lorenzo White and company. Then the Broncos. The Raiders. The AFC West leaders face the Silver and Black in a must-win game for LA. An NBC football doubleheader Sunday.
The Gatorade Ironman Triathlon has been brought to you by Gatorade. It's all you're thirsting for. And by Federal Express. For documents, packages, and freight worldwide, our most important package is yours.
It's been a long, hard day for Greg Welch, and there were times he thought he'd never even see this scene. But even after a day when his finish was in doubt, he still manages his trademark leap across the finish line. But there'll be no celebration today. Welch finishes 6th. Mark Allen, with his new record time, is followed by Bustos, Kiuri, Dietrich, and Zach. Welch is suffering the consequences of persevering to the finish line. With aid from a friend, he heads to the medical tent. This is the guy who says that the thought of a few cold ones gets him to the end of a race. But there'll be no partying for Welch tonight. Paula Newby-Fraser hasn't had to struggle all day. As she is welcomed by the throng on Elite E Drive, she'll finish this race as the first woman to ever break the 9-hour barrier in the Gatorade Ironman. A battered and ailing Greg Welch is being attended to by doctors. His condition is not serious, though he'll rest well before training again. Back at the finish line, Craig Masbach is with the women's champion.
Paula, you didn't just break the record, you smashed the record.
I was pretty confident. I made a few mistakes in my training earlier in the year. I sort of got into that mode of trying to do as much mileage as the man, and it wasn't working. So I went back to doing what works for me, and it works. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. This is very special.
Paula Newby-Fraser wins her 5th Ironman title, more than 26 minutes ahead of Julianne White, who finishes 2nd. With the champions determined on this day, the stage is cleared for the other winners who will cross this finish line before the night is through. While this race is the greatest for professional triathletes, it is really the amateurs who provide it with its soul. And it's in their stories that we often see ourselves. Jim McLaren, who said he doesn't consider himself a disabled athlete, has no shortage of courage. Yet he still seeks the comfort of a friend when the will to move on may be running out. A mother of 5 doesn't need an excuse to show her strength. But Kathy Hughes moves on with an attitude that defies the grueling challenge she's chosen. Pat Rummerfield must face the road virtually alone, achieving his goal step by step. He must finish under 17 hours to make this extraordinary effort even count. Again and again, the finish line is crossed, each time writing the final chapter in a storybook tale. McLaren has done it twice before, and today not only triumphs again, but does so in his best time ever. Anyone would be proud to finish in under 11 hours. As night falls, Rummerfield continues. His race now is against the clock. While Kathy Hughes, met by her husband Paul, gives the term Iron Woman a whole new dimension. She can now add this to her list of accomplishments. The finish line at the Ironman. You don't cross it without your heart and your soul. If you have both of those, it will never forget you. This is why they come, and this is why they will come again. Tonight, the true spirit of the Ironman lives on. And as long as there's a finish line, it will never, ever die. Thanks for sharing with us this extraordinary event. For Craig Masbach and Mike O'Brien, I'm Dan Hicks. Good night, everybody.